afternoon to all our viewers watching us here on Now TV International, 3 p.m. here in Cairo. Time for our comprehensive bulletin, Panorama News, and we'll start the political segment with a look at the headlines. Conference of African Ministerial Cooperative Council and Cooperative Housing Conference kicks off. Heavy fighting around 2 Donbas towns in Ukraine. And Cairo Water Week continues for the second day running. Welcome back. The 13th Africa Ministerial Cooperative Council Conference and 4th International Conference for Cooperative Housing kicked off in Cairo on Monday. Housing Minister Hassim Al-Ghazar inaugurated the meetings, which are held under the auspices of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Under the theme Growing Africa Together, the cooperatives conferences are held in Egypt for the first time and will showcase success stories of cooperative projects and experiences in Egypt, the Arab world, Africa, and the world. This came as Egypt was chosen for hosting the permanent premises of the African Organization for Housing Cooperatives and for hosting the regional office of the International Cooperatives Alliance for North Africa. Minister of Endowments Mohammed Mukhtar Goma said that religion is concerned with making and building life, and with construction drives, not with death and destruction. The minister was addressing the opening session of the 7th Global Conference of Egypt's Al-Ifta Authority on Monday, which is held under the umbrella of the General Secretariat of Al-Ifta Authorities worldwide and under President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's sponsorship. The 7th version of the conference is themed Fatwa, or Legal Counsel, and Sustainable Development Goals. Goma added that all efforts that lead to building, construction, and achieving nation strengths and human interests are essential parts of religious goals and ends. The conference is attended by high-level representatives from the UN and the WHO, along scholars, ministers, and religious leaders from 90 countries. The discussions aims at linking construction and cultivation on earth with Islamic religion's high ends. Sessions of the 5th Cairo Water Week continued for the second day running on Monday. The week focuses on means of developing climate action as the global climate change worsened conditions at areas suffering water scarcity. The event also seeks innovations in facing water challenges with non-conventional methods. Some 54 official delegations from different countries, in addition to 66 international organizations operating in water security, are participating in Cairo Water Week. On the International Day for the Eradication of Poverty, First Lady Mrs. Intisar al-Sisi paid tribute to the efforts of the state institutions with the civil society to eradicate poverty across Egypt. She said these efforts are shown through a lot of initiatives from which we are reaping fruits day after day. And the most important among them is Decent Life Initiative that aims at changing the lives of millions of Egyptians and offering decent lives for them that fit the new republic. Saudi King Salman bin Abdulaziz called on Iran to fulfill its nuclear commitments and to cooperate with UN Nuclear Agency. In an address to the kingdom's Advisory Shura Council on Sunday, King Salman also said that the kingdom was working hard to support stability and balance in oil markets, including by establishing and maintaining the agreement of the OPEC Plus alliance. He added that his country was a mediator of peace and highlighted the Crown Prince's initiative to release prisoners of war from Russia last month. The chairman of the African Union on Sunday called on those involved in the 2-year-old conflict in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region to implement an immediate unconditional ceasefire and agree to direct peace talks. AU Chairman Musa Fiki said that he was following reports of escalating violence in Tigray with grave concern. More details. The African Union on Sunday called on the warring parties in the nearly 2-year conflict in northern Ethiopia to recommit to peace talks as violence intensifies in the Tigray region. The city of Shire Northwest Tigray has been bombarded for several days in a joint offensive by Ethiopian and Eritrean troops, with civilian casualties reported in the push against Tigrayan forces from the war-torn region. The International Rescue Committee, an aid organization delivering relief to embattled Tigray, announced on Saturday that one of its staff was among 3 civilians killed in an attack in the city. The UN chief, Antonio Guterres, has joined the United States and other Western powers in expressing grave concern over the worsening violence and its impact on civilians, and called on both sides to peacefully settle this catastrophic conflict. The Ethiopian government and the Tigrayan authorities have earlier accepted an AU's invitation to talk, but negotiations scheduled to start last weekend in South Africa failed to take place, with diplomats suggesting that logistical issues were partly to blame for the much-anticipated meeting not going ahead. Fighting resumed in August after a 5-month lull, dimming hopes of settling a conflict that has killed untold numbers of civilians. A Russian officer was quoted as saying that Russian and Syrian forces have killed 20 militants in an operation in southern Syria. Major General Oleg Yegorgov, quoted by Russia's news agency, said late on Sunday that the operation took place in southern Daraa province. TASS said that the fighters had been involved in the bombing of a bus last week that killed at least 18 Syrian servicemen near Damascus. And Russia's defense ministry said that its forces had repelled efforts by Ukrainian troops to advance in the Donetsk, Kherson and Mykolaiv regions, inflicting what it